you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Folks, it's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. One of these things that makes it official. Welcome to Big Show. For 16 years, 2,800 episodes, we're bringing the Chris Voss Show because we love you. And it's unconditional, as long as you're not evil. So there might be some conditions. There's a small line. Don't be evil. Anyway, guys, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Help spread the non-evilness. I don't know what that means. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book success. Today, amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her poetry and getting into some of the details of some of the work that she does to help people live better lives. The book is entitled The Winding Path, a poetry, or I'm sorry, let me recut that. The Winding Path, a Poetic Journey, out January 29th, 2026 by Betsy H. Lambert. We're going to get into it with her on the show, find out some of the details of what she does, how she helps other people, and all that good stuff. And we're going to find out more about her and what she does to help people. As we get into it, Betsy has been doing this for quite some time. She's written several different poems and I believe poem books that we'll get into and all that. She is a medical intuitive and body and belief code practitioner who retired in 2007 from a career in corporate communications. She became a poet in 2020 when COVID sent everyone home and her Unity Church went online. Her poems sprang from her minister's inspirational sermons, and by 2025, she had over 300 of them posted on her poetry websites, dancingwithmyshadows.com. The poems in this book were drawn from this collection. Welcome to the show. How are you, Betsy?
I'm very well, thank you.
Very well. Thank you. And thanks for coming as well. Give us your .coms. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Sure. Yes. My poetry collection is on www.dancingwithmyshadows.com. That's just that's where I've put all of my inspirational poetry. I have others, but that's where I put that. My business one is the Astral Connection is the name of my business. And that's www.theastralconnection.com. Mm-hmm. And then we're trying to get live my website for the book, which will be the www.Thewindingpath.world. It's we're having some issues getting it up, but it's ready to go and it should be up shortly. So those are my 3 websites that I'm working with now.
Lovely. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your book, The Winding Path, a Poetic Journey?
Well, The Winding Path came about because I wrote one poem called The Winding Path, and it talks about the climbing the mountain toward the top where we don't know where the top is, and the various things we climb over, and the rocks that get in our way, and crossing the streams with the help of our friends, and that we don't know when we're going to get to the top, but we know that we know that it makes us feel alive to get there. So that's and what I did was I found poetry from different poems of mine, of course, many of them based on my minister's sermons at Unity of the Triangle in Raleigh, and others that just kind of it came to me, inspired me, and a lot of times at 3 a.m. I'll have poetry attacks. I had one this morning, as a matter of fact, at 4 this morning to write a poem for this show.
Really?
And yes, and they're just kind of fun poems. They have, most of them have rhyme, some of them are free form, but they're all designed to give people joy and to make them feel good.
There you go. That's what the Chris Voss Show does. We try and make people feel good, give them joy, and give them tools to do that as well. So it's great that there's that release. Now, have you always written poems? What was the moment that you kind of had that aha moment where you were like, I think I'm going to write some poems, or I think I'm good at this. I want to make this a profession.
Well, I'm actually a professional writer. I have a college degree in advertising and journalism and advertising, and I wanted to be an advertising copywriter, and that's what led me, of course, into public relations ultimately. But I've always been even in college, I was winning awards for my copy, and I learned the concept of capsule copywriting, which is, and then I actually ended up teaching it briefly too. But capsule copywriting is what I use for my poetry, and that's what makes it effective. You tell people what you're going to tell them, and then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them, basically. and it creates a nice little bow at the end, that you tie them, you create the nice little puffy bow that you put on, and that's what my poetry is, and I try to keep it that way. Some of it's more serious than others, but generally it's lighthearted and fun.
What are some of the topics you like to write poems about?
Oh, well, I have all sorts of things. Like I have in my book, I have the things like what it's like to go to the dentist, the power of diversity, bittersweet pleasures, and how do I conquer my monkey mind. They're all things that particularly older people, I think, deal with, because I'm older, so I write from my perspective, and there are things that I find that I find to be of interest to me. For instance, the great equalizer is the dentist chair will claim us all at some point in our lives. The whirling blade's a disturbing call for husbands as well as wives. And that's kind of the way it is. And then how do I conquer? And then, my knees stare crazy. And, these are all things that we all deal with. My knees remind me of how old I am at every possible time. The stairs go up, the stairs go down. My knees think both are a crime. And then I go on from there. But anyway, but then I have serious ones that are like, what is a friend? A friend is someone with whom you've shared memories that cannot die. There are so many times together that won't let you pass them by. So then I get into that. I get into aging. Aging's not for the faint of heart, though we're lucky to have the chance. Each body starts falling apart and begins its final dance. So, that's it. And then it goes different, different types of things. One fun one that I've written is meditation. My breath goes in, my breath goes out, and never is seen again. The flow of life can only go where it has never been. So that's, they're not long, they're short, and they're fun, and most of them are, they're just what's on my mind at the time.
There you go. Fun little poems and stuff. Why do you think poems are so important to people? Why do people, poems have been around and these sort of tributes for probably eons of time, right? Why do you think they're so enduring as an art form?
Well, it depends on the poem, of course, but from my perspective, my poems are designed to get into people's heads. They're kind of like a music, because you heard I have a little bit of a sing-song on most of my poems, or a little bit of sing-song, and they're designed to get in their people's heads and it to make them sound like within their heads that they're actually saying it to themselves. And I've had people actually tell me that, and that to me is a big challenge. That was my goal when I was doing advertising copywriting, is because to sell a product, you've got to get into somebody's head, and that was sort of what I was trained to do.
There you go. Get into people's head. You're like a CIA agent, only you use poems to do it. And I think you mentioned you wrote a poem for us. Do you
Yes,
want
I did. Yeah.
You may be the first person who's ever written a poem for the show.
Well, I woke up at 4:00 this morning. I have what I call poetry attacks. My poem
I was going to bring that up too. The poetry attacking.
They're and at 3 or 4 in the morning, I wake up and I get the first line is in my mind, and I absolutely have to just follow through with it. And
Or
this one is what I wrote for your show here is everyone has a story to tell. And so that's the title of it. But everyone has a story to tell, and some will break your heart. My childhood ended at age 6 when my world fell apart. With my mom ill and my sister a babe, I was sent to a boarding school. While physically safe, I was terrified, all alone under none's rule. It certainly shaped my view of the world as a cruel and unfriendly place. There was no one whom I could trust. I felt like a disgrace. The experience formed my poet's soul, while abandonment shaped my life. My connection to those with similar fates can still cut me like a knife. Since there are so many people out there suffering in silence profound, my poems seek to find joy in life, to turn their thinking around. What's done is done, and all we have is our hope for peace. Each moment's a gift to cherish and live, while allowing our past to release. So
that's beautiful. Thank you. That's wonderful.
So that's just a sample of my style. That's not in the book, of course. I just wrote it this morning.
Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll be cool enough to make the second book. Now, is this your first book that you made of poetry?
Oh, well, it's my first book of poetry. Yes, it is. I hope to do more in the future. But
you've written how many poems so far on your website?
Well, on my website it's over 300, but I've probably written closer to 400. Now that just started in when COVID lockdown came down. Because
tell us about that.
Yeah, well, we switched to watching our Sunday services on the line and on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I would just sit there and kind of doodle and take notes, and all of a sudden poems started emerging. And so I just ended up writing a poem virtually every Sunday for 4 years, beginning in 2020 until 2024. I would write a poem just about every single Sunday based on the sermons that I heard. And then I'd post them on the community Facebook page and share them with my other fellow parishioners, and they were fun, and people, I think it helped us all to get through the whole COVID isolation business. And of course I have a whole body of poetry just on the effects of COVID on me, and they're all very personal, they're all just like I read that was a very vulnerable poem. I'm telling you something about myself. And I think that's what people can relate to, because even though it's about a sermon, I relate it to my own experience.
There you go. We often talk about in the show, and you probably overheard some of that. Life is people. We're all our stories. All of us are the assemblage of our stories of life. And if you took those stories away, good, bad, and ugly, there wouldn't be much to us. And so they are really the fabric of who we are. Our stories, our journeys, our stories of failures and triumph and overcoming failure. They're great stories, and so many of us, we go through things and we survive, whatever crisis we're going through, and then we share our blueprint with others of, how we got through those times. And COVID was a really hard time. I think this whole nation I think we all need therapy after COVID. And so it's interesting, we had a lot of great books that were written during COVID because it was a great time to sit down and kind of reanalyze, how much you valued life, your family. I know when I went through COVID, I went from, worried about money and cars and houses and things and companies to worried about family and people. And so it was I want to say it was a great time. It was a great time for people to reassess their lives, reassess what was going on with them, and maybe find new skills and talents. We had a lot of great authors like yourself that came out of COVID. So, dark times sometimes bring out the best in the hope of human beings.
This is so true, but it also is a challenge though for many people because they tend to hold it in. They don't want to express themselves, and that's one of the things that I'm trying to do with my poetry is to tap into some of these thoughts that people are trying to hold, that they think, but they think, oh, I'm the only one who thinks that, until they read it. So, I mean, that's the way I feel. I'm scared of the dentist chair too,
I am too. The dentist chair poem. What did you say? Something about I'm just going from memory here. The dentist chair comes for everyone or something eventually?
Yeah, I do say that. I call it the great equalizer. The dentist chair will claim us all at some point in our lives. The whirling blade's a disturbing call for husbands as well as wives. No matter what your place in life, your teeth can pull you down. Those nasty sweets act like a knife, whether you're king or clown. And you want me to read the rest of it?
No, go ahead. It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. It's a fun little poem. Our pearly whites must chew our food and give us a warm smile. They surround words both kind and rude and help our eyes beguile. But when they hurt, the pain they bring will throw us to our knees. For young and old, teeth are offering pleasure to pain by degrees. So take the time to brush them well and treat them with respect, because otherwise, they'll tell your care wasn't what they expect.
There you go. I definitely feel that one because my teeth have finally caught up to me after all these years of drinking Mountain Dew and sugar. Back when I did that, I think I got some Mountain Dew teeth. I think they call it, but yeah, I like that. I guess in life, the things that are certain are death, taxes, and the dentist chair. According
right, absolutely.
and I love this. Oh, that was it. Yeah. Poems. What was it? Poetry attacks or poem attacks? What was it?
We've named them poetry attacks, and it doesn't happen just at 3 a.m. Sometimes I have to have a paper and pen in the car because I'll be driving along and I'll hear something, and all of a sudden it's like this first line comes into my head, and I've got to write it down. If I don't, I lose it forever. It's like it's just flying in front of me, and I have to kind of grab it. And once I get it down on paper, then I can do something with it. But not when I'm driving, of course. But when I come to a stoplight, I'll scribble it down really fast sometimes. But it just, I never know when it's going to come. But I do, however, because I'm an intuitive. I'm a medical intuitive, and so I understand how intuition works, and I know, okay, my intuition is telling me that I've got to get with the program here and write this thing down.
Definitely. We get with the program.
Right.
No, I'm the same way. I learned that my brain will drive me crazy all night. My ADHD, it will drive me insane all night long if I don't write down. And what it's doing, I understand what it's doing. It's trying to remind me that, not to forget that. So it just keeps repeating it and banging you over the head with it because it's like, hey, we want you to don't forget this in the morning. And you're like, I probably will because I'm not getting any sleep here, eh? And, and so, I've just learned to keep pen and paper. Sometimes I just send myself an email on the phone, and then that way I can take and do that. But yeah, it's a crazy world. So let's talk about anything more on the book you want to tease out as we move to the next subject.
Well, one of the things that I really like about my book is that I talk about technology, and I talk about how technology is such a challenge. And also no AI here. One thing about my poetry is that it's penned by me. Since poetry is so personal, it hangs like leaves on a tree. So that there are a lot of different subjects that are in here, but they're all tied together by starting at the bottom of life's mountain and then climbing up it and going over, obstacles and crossing paths and crossing streams and our goal is to get to the top.
Mm-hmm.
All of us.
Mm-hmm. The goal is to get to the top.
Right.
So there you go. Now, how many total poems you might have referenced it earlier in the show. How many total poems would you say you created over the course of your history?
Well, I haven't counted them, but it was between 350 and 400 poems. But that's just since 2020. Before that, I was not a poet. I was a writer, but it was corporate communications, newsletters, and that sort of thing, and press releases. But I didn't really become a poet until, just as you said, when COVID brought that part of me out that I didn't know was there. And it was pretty profound that where it led me.
There you go. So let's talk about some of the things you do at the astralconnection.com, some of the services you offer and how you help people over there.
Well, as a medical intuitive, I help people to locate trapped emotions that are causing people to have pain and suffering and it's kind of like finding a trapped connection in a trapped emotion in your energetic system, as kind of like the trapped emotions will stop the flow of the energy. So it's all about energy and getting energy to be balanced and to be running as it should. And so that's really what I do, is that I balance people's energy. And if it's not a structural problem that requires medical attention, it works very effectively. I've been doing that for about 15 years now. That's been my business. But the poetry is my love, and I've discovered that I love to do the healing part too. But to me, it's sort of magical to be able to join the two together.
Yeah. Now, on your website, you have something you talk about the body and emotion code. You want to give us a bit of dive into that?
Well, sure. The emotion code it was developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and back in the 90s, and he wrote a book about that, and it's a 2-column and 6-row listing of different emotions that we have trapped in us inside. And the concept here is that every emotion has its own energetic signature, and so consequently, you have emotion of fear, for instance. It's different from anger, and it's different from confusion, or different from insecurity. They're all very specific emotions, but they have different energetic signatures, and they're created by different organs in our body and then if we don't release them, then they get trapped in different places. And so what I do is that I work to use an intuitive questioning method to get people to find out what people's problems are. And then I find out what trapped emotions in there, like anxiety, despair, failure, helplessness, lack of control, pride, shame, unworthiness, worthless, etc. There are quite a few emotions that are able to be found using my pendulum. I use a pendulum as muscle testing. It's all done remotely by phone, and I work I use my muscle testing.
What is a pendulum? Or pendulum, whatever that is. Explain to us what that is so people in the audience will know.
Well, let's see. Let me get mine. Okay, sorry. Well, a pendulum is my pendulum that I use.
Oh, wow.
And when I'm connected with someone, I say, "Dear God, I surrender this healing to you. May it follow your purpose and its results unfold according to your will. Amen." And then I let it go. And then I'm connected through the astral connection, which is the name of my business, with my client. Oh. And I just say, tell me, give me this is a no, or this is a neutral. give me a yes, and immediately it starts going in a circle. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And so in other words, but I have to have someone's permission. If I had your permission, you can ask me a question, and I can see, So, do you want to ask me a question about something that you think you might?
Does it need to be about me personally, or but it needs to be yes or no question?
Okay. Yes, it has to be yes or no. In other words, do you have a pain in your shoulder?
Not right now. I do in my hip.
In your hip? Okay, you have a pain in your hip. Now, see, It's going, yes, it agrees.
Oh,
Is it your right hip? No, it's your left hip, correct?
It's the right hip.
Oh, it's the right hip. Okay, so it's the right hip. Oops, all right, there we go. And so anyway,
I used the wrong needle last night when I was doing my testosterone replacement therapy injection.
Oh boy. Well, it'll do that to you, I guess. But at any rate, then I would find out from you what trapped emotions are in that hip that are contributing. They're not necessarily causing, but they're contributing to the pain that you're having.
Oh yeah.
So consequently,
it was very unhappy last night. It's better this morning, but it was very unhappy last night. There's two needles you use in testosterone. You use a large needle to draw, and then a small needle to insert, and it does less damage. But I was living lazy, and I'm like, I'll just do it. And I think I hit something wrong. So, but yeah, there you go. And the thing you're talking about is people holding everything inside, and I think there's a book called The Body Knows the Score, and it talks about how we tend to internalize trauma, pain, and we store it in different parts of the body, right?
That's correct, exactly.
Yeah. And it's like the body, and so you've got to get this not only to release, but it's also a physical expression of getting that pain out of those different areas. And it does help if you put your needles in the right place, if you're using
Yeah, it definitely does. But if you have pain, I mean, there are lots of different causes for pain, and I don't work on pain per se. I work on because it's like an impediment, or it's like blockage, and that's what I'm trying to help, is to help get rid of blockages, pain, things that are blocked.
Yeah, I mean, people, they lock on these things, and traumas especially, and they store in their body, and it festers and causes them pain and frustration, and a lot of times it's just trauma or some sort of complication or belief system you need to.
You think about it. When you think about it, it's like if you have a trauma, an actual physical trauma someplace, then you're going to be blocked. You're going to be blocking your energetic system, and then emotions come in there, and their energy further blocks the system, and it's just like water backing up against a dam. And it makes it gives pain because there's irritation there. And so what I do is find the emotions that are backing up the dam and behind the dam, and get rid of them one by one until finally you break through the dam, and you hopefully can help someone to get over their pain or their suffering or their discomfort, is what we call it, because it doesn't have to be pain.
If people are listening out there in the audience, what is your ideal client? What do they usually need to have to qualify? What maybe are they going through, or issues are they having to be a good client for you and reach out to you?
Well, they just have to be open for this kind of healing, because if someone is not open for it, they're simply not. It's not going to do them any good. They can block it. They can block because
they blocked everything else.
That's right. They can block the connection that I have with them using my pendulum. If they're open to it, if they want to be open to the idea that it can work. Look at my pendulum; it's talking to me while I'm talking.
No,
it's saying yes, yes, no, no.
Yes.
And anyway, then I just have to. It's on a case by case basis, but to most people, if they're open, I can help them in some way.
There you go. Well, it's good to be able to help people and all that stuff that you're doing there. Definitely. So you do the work with people. They can go to your website. How do they onboard with you, reach out, or find out more about you So
they can go to my website, www.theastralconnection.com, and everything they need to know about my business is there, and then they can contact me from there. They can go to my through my email, or they can call me. I work entirely by phone. My clients are all over the United States, and so that's my everything they need to know, and what my charges are, etc. I think it's all on my website.
There you go. All on the website and stuff. So I noticed there's something else here on the website. I just saw a thing called Quantum Touch. What is that?
Well, Quantum Touch is another modality, and that's also a very powerful modality, and it's one in which I use it for trauma. In other words, if someone has just like sprained an ankle, I can use it, or they have some swelling or something like that, and I use it to send, and I can do it, long distance too. I can send energy to someone who has had a trauma, and to help reduce the swelling. And that I do that because when you send the energy to a certain, like to your hip, for instance, it would cause blood to the energy is coming into your hip. Even though it's long distance, it's coming into your hip, and the blood knows that. I mean, it draws the blood to that area there because your body is wanting that energy, and it's that healing energy, and so consequently, it feels warm a lot of times, but it does bring the blood, and bringing the blood to a point of injury is what's going to help it to get better.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of blood flow, and there's that tightness. And I think part of that's caused by emotion sometimes, storing those things in your body. And it's pretty wild. So what else do we need to promote, or is there any other questions maybe I should have asked you before we go out?
Well, no, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today and to talk to your audience. And I hope that they want to buy my book and maybe for themselves, or to give as a gift to somebody else or something like that. I mean, it's just this is just a nice opportunity to talk to you.
There you go. And it's been wonderful to talk to you as well. Now, I have here in my notes, was there another book that you wrote, Women Living on Purpose, Real Stories of Women?
Well, I didn't write that. That's an anthology. That was my first time I've been published. It was an anthology I was one of 20 authors that was asked to be in that book, and it came out in 2021, right in the middle of COVID. But I wrote my story and that's another story that I was talking about, a near-death experience I had in 1993 when I was hit head-on by a drunk driver going about 55 miles an hour. And so I wrote the story in Women Living on Purpose, but the point of that story was to talk about that. But that's what led me to become a poet, because then when I was actually writing, I was writing a book, which I'm still working on now, and I discovered that I could be a poet, and I started writing poetry for that book, and so that's really what that's what led me into then becoming a poet, like I am now, writing books of poetry. So it's all a continuum, one thing leads to another.
One thing leads to another, as they say.
Correct.
So there you go. Well, it's been wonderful and insightful, Betsy, to have you on and share your wonderful thing. When you're shaking that thing back and forth, I thought maybe you were hypnotizing me. You know how the hypnotists do that?
They do that. Yeah, no, it's well, and actually I'm sure that there's something to that because it's all energetic, I mean, I can't control my pendulum at all. I'm holding it way up here by a little tiny ball up here, and I say, pendulum, give me a yes, and I can't make that. You can see I'm not making it do it. It's doing it because it's minute muscles that are doing that. But at any rate, that's what's fun. Yeah, it's just fun. Energy is just so interesting. I love it.
There you
it's
go.
Fun.
I'm going to take one on dates with me to see will I get a second date? See if it, and then if it says yes, I'll be like, hey, The Rock said yes.
No, it won't, because it's not going to tell the future.
Oh, okay.
Nope. No, you can. I would not recommend that at all.
Definitely. And I think any date that would be out with me would be like, this guy
is really weird.
Yeah, he's really weird. So we're not, no second date for him, which is pretty much how it goes. So thank you very much, Betsy, for coming on. Give us your .coms and your last pitch out as we go out.
Okay. Well, my business is www.theastralconnection, all one word, .com. And that is for my body code and belief code healing and quantum touch. And then my poetry collection of it's organized according to the 12 unity principles is the way I organized my poetry. And it's on www.dancingwithmyshadows.com. And then very soon, I'm hoping my poetry book, it'll just be a landing page with links on it, really, is going to be .thewindingpath.world. And it's built. I just have to get it. We have to figure out what the security problems are, whether we can't get it posted yet, but it'll be up shortly.
And the one website has a bunch of your poems that aren't in the book, correct? I think you may have said that, but I wanted to clarify that so that people.
Well, that's right. The Dancing with My Shadows one is that particular poem was in an anthology that I was in a couple of years ago, and I just liked that, so that's why I named it that particular name. But yes, it's a body of poetry, but it's not organized into a book, obviously, that many poems. Who's going to look at that many poems in a book? Probably nobody. But I think the themes are there, and if someone wants to look for them.
There you go. Well, some people can enjoy it. And there's people that they love call it poems more than anything. They're poem fiends. I think a great title for a book would be that When Poems Attack. Poems Attack. That would be a great title for a book.
Well, I think that all poems basically attack. If they're technically and intentionally written, they're going to attack your own thought processes and your beliefs and where you just exactly where you think you are in life. And I mean, it should challenge you. A good poem should challenge you in some way, I think.
There you go. Get that challenge and live your life. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story and your journey and your wonderful stuff there, Betsy. And thanks for the poem for the show.
Well, thank you. Yes, I had fun. It was great.
You might, we've been doing this for 16, going on 17 years, 2,800 episodes. I'm pretty sure you're the first person who's written a poem for the show. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure.
We're actually doing this show just to get someone to write a poem. And so we've actually been grinding through it this whole time. So now we can just quit and quit doing a show because we finally got what we wanted.
Oh, that's good.
We've been holding out for 17 years going, we just want someone to write a poem for the show. And then we'll know we made it. So folks, order up her book wherever fine books are sold. The Winding Path, a Poetic Journey, out January 29th, 2026, by Betsy H. Lambert. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, there you go, Betsy. Great job.